You're watching Euronews now. I'm Helena Humphrey. Here are your top stories. Russia claims it's taken full control of Lysychansk, the last bastion in the eastern region of Luhansk. Ukraine's President Zelensky has vowed his forces will retake the city. Despite the ongoing war, discussions on the reconstruction of Ukraine begin in earnest as leaders gather in Lugano, Switzerland for a donor conference. And rescue efforts continue in Italy after the fatal collapse of a glacier in the Dolomites.
Craters, destruction and homes reduced to rubble. The city of Kramatorsk in eastern Ukraine has been left to ruin. This comes as invading forces press on with their assault on Donetsk after announcing the capture of neighbouring Luhansk. Russian President Vladimir Putin has ordered Defence Minister Sergei Shoigu to continue Moscow's offensive in a bid to gain total control of the eastern Donbass region.
Military units, including the East Group and the West Group, must carry out their tasks according to previously approved plans. I hope that everything will go on in their direction the same way it happened in Luhansk so far.
The governor of Luhansk says Ukrainian troops were ordered to withdraw from the city of Lysychansk to avoid a second Mariupol, and that his forces would rather deal with shelling and artillery strikes than face a battle for the city on several fronts.
They won't capture the Donetsk region quickly for sure, because while the Luhansk region held the front line, the Donetsk region was reinforced and a few defence lines were dug in, so it won't be easy for them to pass through.
Russia claimed control of Lysychansk on Sunday, the last Ukrainian stronghold in the Luhansk province. Moscow has already seized about half of Donetsk as the fight for the Donbass region continues. Political leaders, businessmen and international institutions are drawing up a roadmap to rebuild Ukraine in Lugano, Switzerland, a country shattered after 4.5 months of Russia's invasion. The Ukrainian Prime Minister estimates that €719 billion are needed, money that can be obtained from Russian funds frozen in the West.
These efforts continue.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky addressed the audience via a video link.
Improving transparency.
This is not just locally, somewhere in the east. No, this is an attack from Russia on the common values that you and I share. Therefore, the reconstruction of Ukraine is not a local project, the project of a single nation, but a task for the democratic world, all countries that can say to themselves, we are civilized.
The President of the European Commission linked Western investments to change and the fight against corruption, a message she has reiterated time and time again in recent weeks.
Because Ukraine will need courageous reforms. But reforms should go hand in hand with investment. We all know the scale of destruction is staggering, and costs are rising with each day of this senseless war.
Attendees were also treated to a performance from Robert Kowalski, the first concertmaster with the Orchestra della Svizzera Italiana in Lugano. The conference concludes on Tuesday.
Ukrainians who escaped the war and found refuge in Belgium are now struggling to find a place to live. Irina is one of them. She had to leave her house in Bucha in less than half an hour. She is grateful for the family that has been hosting her for 3 months. But she understands that it is time to give them their privacy back and also recover her independence. But renting an apartment seems an impossible mission. She has now been trying for 5 weeks.
When I'm calling to agencies and they ask me who am I and where do I come from, and when they hear that I'm Ukrainian and I'm temporary protected person without contract, without contract for this moment, they don't want to have us.
Irina is not the only refugee affected. Tetiana and her daughter sheltered in a monastery and fought against scammers. Now she feels lucky that her host family is giving her time to find an apartment. But things can get nasty.
It was very expensive because thanks for the Belgian government, for Belgian people, they give us some money to buy. We could buy food, and if we rent this apartment, we have no money to buy food.
50,000 Ukrainian refugees have arrived to Belgium in the last months, a number that can increase to 80,000 if the war continues. Belgian authorities are aware of the difficulty for families to host unknown people for a long time.
1 month is fine, 2 is more complicated. In the 3rd month it becomes difficult, and so we have to find new hosts or other accommodation solutions more like refugee centers, which are not what Ukrainians want. Ukrainians want normal housing, they don't want refugee centers.
The European Union has paid more than 3.5 billion euros in advance payments to the member states to help them manage the arrival of people. But money is not enough. Many Ukrainians are going back home even if the war is not over. Aida Sanchez Alonso, Euronews, Brussels.
4 months ago, I was a Russian comedian, but then I spoke openly against the war, and now I am a traveling comedian.
Denis Chuzhoy was working as a screenwriter in Moscow. Now he's writing his own comedy routines in Istanbul. Like many other Russians, Chuzhoy and his wife decided to leave Russia over their opposition to its invasion of Ukraine.
We thought that nothing good would happen to Russia in the next several years, so we might as well start a new life in a different country.
There's various reasons why Russians choose to come to Istanbul after leaving their homes. There's direct flights here despite other countries closing their airspace, and they can stay here for months without a visa. But that doesn't make the journey much easier.
The ARG is a group aimed at helping others who fled Russia. The co-founders for the organization's Turkish branch say that thousands have contacted them for assistance.
Many people were leaving because otherwise they had a good chance of getting arrested and having to do actual prison time for just saying that the war is wrong and that they are against it. Turkey itself, it's not easy to find a job, so language is also somewhat of an issue.
Russians are bringing money to Turkey's struggling economy and helping support its crucial tourism sector. Government statistics say Russians were the top foreign buyers of Turkish real estate in May. For Chuzhoy, he hopes to eventually find a longer-term home in the US or Europe. But he says Istanbul is giving him a chance to build up his English language comedy career. And he's finding some solace through his jokes.
When you write jokes, it's basically you find the problems in your life. Your whole job is to rewrite your life so it's more it's better than it is in reality.
As the war upends the lives of so many in Ukraine, at least for some, the show goes on in Turkey.
Despite Western sanctions, German exports of goods to Russia increased between April and May. According to the Federal Statistical Office, exports in May alone increased by 92.4% to €1 billion, compared to the previous month, where they'd slumped by 60% in some cases. The increase was mainly for the pharmaceutical sector, which are exempt from the imposed sanctions, according to authorities. Meanwhile, imports from Russia fell in May compared to April by 9.8%. That's €3.3 billion. These are mainly supplies of raw materials and, of course, energy. Surprisingly, imports from other European countries also fell, meaning for the first time in 14 years, the German foreign trade balance is at a negative.
You're watching Euronews now. Do stay with us because we've got lots more to come on the programme. Welcome back to the programme. A reminder now of our top story. Russia claims it has taken full control of Lysychansk, the last bastion in the eastern region of Luhansk. But Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has vowed that his forces will retake the city. Meanwhile, discussions on the reconstruction of Ukraine are now underway, with leaders gathering in Lugano, Switzerland, for a donor conference.
Many questions still left unanswered following the shooting that left 3 dead and 4 in critical but stable condition at a Copenhagen shopping mall on Sunday. The suspected perpetrator, a 22-year-old Danish citizen, was known to psychiatric professionals and is expected in court today.
It's important for me to underline the work we have done overnight. Nothing indicates that the suspect has worked together with others or has been assisted by others.
Police still do not know the suspect's motives but have ruled out a terrorist attack. The fatalities include a Russian citizen living in Denmark and 2 Danish youths, a boy and a girl, aged 17. Among the 4 injured are 2 Danish women, a Swedish man and a Swedish teenager. Police have shut down several of the suspect's social media accounts where he posted videos in which he posed with guns and made suicide gestures. Six people are dead and 9 injured after a large chunk of an alpine glacier broke loose and roared down a mountainside in Italy, sending ice, rock and snow slamming into hikers on a popular trail. Authorities say there are at least 17 confirmed missing in the Marmolada range in the largest Dolomite mountains in northeast Italy. It is not immediately cleared what caused the section of the ice to break away, but an intense heat wave has gripped the country since late June could be a factor. 5 helicopters and dozens of alpine search and rescue specialists have been deployed to the scene. They say blocks of ice are continuing to tumble down. The injured have been flown to several hospitals nearby. A search for those missing carries on.
According to local authorities, the situation is very much evolving. We understand as well that the death toll could increase, given that there could be at least 17 people missing. Now, we also understand that there were 2 groups of hikers who were tied by a rope who got hit by the avalanche on that popular trail on the peak of the mountain. Rescue operations are still ongoing, but they've been undermined by the risk of new avalanche. Rescue dogs, drones and helicopters have been also deployed to help rescuers who were also checking car plates in the parking lot at the very bottom of the mountain to determine how many people might be unaccounted for. We also understand that the impact has been quite significant. According to experts, the block of ice that fell down the mountain was at least 400 meters wide and is laid down at an unprecedented speed. Prime Minister Mario Draghi is expected to travel to Canazei in the next few hours. With regards to the cause of the avalanche, well, intense heat could be part of the reason why the block of ice broke down, but clearly other factors could be involved, and that's exactly what prosecutors will be trying to establish in the next few hours. Giorgia Orlandi for Euronews in Rome.
The UK Armed Forces says it has now regained control of both its Twitter and YouTube accounts after they were briefly hacked by an unknown source. Over the weekend, instead of the usual authorised content, the UK Army's official YouTube channel looked like this. As you can see, it was renamed and its videos were replaced by a feed promoting various cryptocurrencies, including one image of Tesla CEO and billionaire Elon Musk. The Army's official Twitter account was also compromised. It too was renamed and it was used to share posts about various NFTs. Those are non-fungible tokens, unique digital images that can be bought and sold online. This lasted for a number of hours, but the Army says that the issue was then resolved. They posted a tweet later on their official account apologising for the temporary interruption to their Twitter feed, saying they are conducting a full investigation into the matter and are hoping to learn from it. It's not exactly clear who is behind this hacking attempt. Of course, it's not the first time that a major profile, or indeed a verified Twitter profile, has been compromised in recent years. And there has been concern in both the UK and other Western countries about potential state-sponsored hacking from Russia. But the army has not identified who they believe was behind this hacking attempt. The Ministry of Defence in the UK says they are taking this matter extremely seriously, and until this investigation is complete, they are not commenting any further.
For the second time in 6 months, French President Emmanuel Macron has reshuffled his government. It comes just a matter of weeks after losing his absolute majority in Parliament during elections in June. Well, for more on who's in, who's out and what it means for the country, we can bring in our international correspondent now, Annelise Borges, who joins us from Paris. Annelise, perhaps not that sweeping reshuffle that many people had been talking about, that people have been predicting. What more can you tell us?
Hi there, Helena. Indeed, it feels like a very similar cabinet at the end of the day, with some political analysts here in France saying that is perhaps a message in itself, a message from the administration of Emmanuel Macron that loyalty pays off, a message that, of course, they will want newly elected members of parliament, perhaps, to hear. Among the big exits of this cabinet, we have, of course, the controversial Minister for Solidarity and Social Cohesion, Mr. Damien Abad, who is under investigation for sexual misconduct and rape. The administration of Emmanuel Macron was reluctant to remove him initially, but now they seem to have ceded to public pressure. Another big exit, that of Clément Beaune, the former Europe minister, a very popular figure among the European ministers, the former administration of Emmanuel Macron. He is out, replaced by the chief economist of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, Laurence Boone. She is going to be the new Europe minister. But in terms of other big posts, well, they remain the same. Big names remain, including that of Bruno Le Maire, the finance minister of France, Olivier Véran, who is the former health minister and a rising star in French politics, the face of the government's response to the pandemic of COVID-19. He remains in the government as the spokesperson for the new administration. And of course, Elisabeth Borne, the new prime minister, who offered her resignation to Emmanuel Macron after those legislative elections, the disappointing results then. He refused, he chose to keep her in that job. And of course, it's going to be interesting to see just how this plays out. It's definitely, Elena, definitely not the major reshuffle that many political analysts were hoping was going to give new life to this second act of Emmanuel Macron.
Arsenal signed Manchester City forward Gabriel Jesus on a long-term contract on Monday, in a deal reportedly worth over €52 million. The Brazil international scored 95 goals in 236 games over nearly 6 seasons at City and won the Premier League 4 times. Meanwhile, Manchester City have completed the signing of midfielder Calvin Phillips from Leeds United on a 6-year contract. City agreed a basic fee of €48 million with Leeds for the England international last month. Phillips made over 200 appearances for his hometown club over the past 8 seasons. And Denmark international Christian Eriksen has agreed in principle to sign for Manchester United on a free transfer. The 30-year-old is expected to go through a rigorous medical following his cardiac arrest at Euro 2020. But fans will hope he can set United in the right direction with Erik ten Hag at the helm.
You're up to date. Thanks for your company. Remember, there's always more on our website. That is euronews.com. Bye for now.